welcome to church.
Hey, welcome to church.
Welcome to church.
Welcome to church.
The red letters, or the redders. I'm going to do it one more time because there's a few new people here. The redders are the red letters, and one day I was talking, and sometimes I slur my words, and I said redders instead of red letters. So therefore, we just got these shirts, which I said we were going to try to do, and the girls blessed me with the birthday present last week, and we have a bunch of these. It says the redders. Ask me about the redders. So it gives you an opportunity to share what Jesus was saying. When somebody says, well, what's the redders? Well, it's Jesus is talking. It's just what he explained for us, and it put down in black and white or red for us to have an understanding, so we know what he is trying to direct us and go from there. So it's a great way to be able to share Jesus with somebody with them bringing it up. And so it's a great evangelical tool. Here I'm going to start slurring my words again. I'll come up with a new word. Well, it's funny, is the same day that I was trying to say shepherds and I said sheepers. Didn't even know I said it, but my faithful group over here always tell me when I do stuff like that. So we're going to be doing today my sheep hear my voice. But first, before we get into that, last week I talked about the salt of the earth, or being the light. Jesus was talking about being the light of the world. And I said, well, let's go out there and let's be the light. Let's not just be the normal hiding Christian group, and let's be something different. So is everybody going out there and being a little bit more bright than they used to be? Everybody's hands should be up. We are called to be the light of the earth. One of the ways we do in that, and we can act that out and we can walk that out, is by hearing God's voice. So when he says, Lloyd, I need you to go over here, I can go over there. Or if he says, Alex, I need you to go down here. You hear the voice. Or Jordan, can you do this? Monica, can you do that? We are supposed to hear his voice, and we're supposed to be so in tune to his voice that, like when I used to do cowboy church, I talked about the dressage horses, or if you were getting into like a Greenbrook horse, which is one that's just being trained. One horse you have to take by the bit and you have to control. You have to teach them. You have to learn them. And Monica's favorite term these days is, God told her one day, said, Monica, I shouldn't have to take you by the bit. Well, taking a horse by the bit is actually getting control of that horse, and sometimes you have to plow rein and move them around and pull their nose around and get them to go in the direction you want. Now, a well-trained, sensitive dressage horse who knows his master, all you got to do is shift your weight, and the horse will go. You can't even see the movement. You can't even feel the pressure that they're doing. You can't even see it. You can't even feel it, as far as in the group. Just like that song, he's working. We might not see it, we might not feel it, but we're supposed to get to the point to where God shouldn't have to take you by the bit and drag you along. You should be able to just do a little bit of shift, a little bit of pressure, and you should be able to just go in the direction that he wants you to go. Well, the only way you can do that is knowing his voice. And Jesus is saying in John that my sheep know my voice. So let's read that. John 10:27 through 30. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. And I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall anyone snatch them out of my hand. 29, catch this. My Father, who has given them to me. This is Jesus talking. He's saying, my Father gave you to Jesus. My Father who has given them to me is greater than all. and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. This is Jesus saying, my sheep know my voice, and I know my sheep. Well, how do you get to know someone? By spending time with them. Well, how do you spend time with Jesus? We've gone over this for months, for years now. Well, you can worship like we just did. You can read the Word. You can listen to teachers. You can pray and spend time in prayer, and not just doing all the talking, but sitting there and doing some of the listening too. And the more you do that, the more you'll get to know Jesus' voice or God's voice. You'll have a feeling. There'll just be a slight little pressure or a weight difference or something. You'll have a little bit different feeling than what you had before, and you can understand it because you'll start recognizing it. And when we get into that point, Jesus says, they hear me and I know who they are. So he's not just saying, well, I know Monica. He's saying, I know Monica. He sees Monica. He knows her heart. He knows what she's all about. When Jesus says, I know you, Ty, when he says that, he's saying, I know you. Not who you try to let the world know who you are, but he knows you. He knows each and every one of you completely and fully. You cannot hide from him. He wants you to know him the way he knows you. And when you start to spend time in prayer, in worship, studying the Word, reading. I mean, today you don't even have to read it. You can just put it on your phone and let it read to you. I mean, we've got it easy. A lot of people said all this stuff is of the devil. Well, I'm sorry. A lot of this stuff out there, God creates it. The enemy steals it. The enemy cannot create. Satan cannot create. He has no way in the world of creating something. God gives people vision and dreams, and they create, and the enemy steals it and twists it and tries to destroy it. But if you go after it and you use it in the way God created it, there's some good tools out there. I mean, I see a handful of Bibles on tables. Why? Is because almost everybody here has at least one Bible on their phone. Some of us have multiples. Or you have the one where you can do any translation you want. We have the tools of getting to understand Jesus better than we ever did before. Use those tools. Start knowing who he is. So, how do we hear God's voice? Like I just said, spend time in prayer. Spend time in worship. I've challenged a bunch of over and over again. Put on worship music in your car or in your home for 30 days. Don't play any other kind of music. There are so many different kinds of worship and praise music out there. You can't say, well, I only like orchestra or big band or jazz or country or rock or this, that. All those you can find in Christian music. So that's not an excuse. Today you can pull up on Pandora and you can get anything you want. I mean, it's like, and you can pick it out and you can play it. I challenge you, listen to it. Let it feed you, even when you're sleeping. When we started being the lead pastors here at the Vineyard, we started playing worship music in this building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when we started doing that, people started coming in and saying, there's a different feeling here. It's always been the Vineyard. It's always been the building that's housing the church. We are the church. But it's because worship changes things. It helps you have an understanding of who he is. When you're just having it in the background, it will change you. I've shared this before. We do fireside on Sunday nights, and we're out here playing sand volleyball and barbecuing with the young adults, 18 to 36, 40, whatever. The youngers that are older. And some of them don't have a clue who God is. We invite people who've never been to church, don't even know if God exists or anything like that, and we'll play Christian music in here, and we have it in here, and we have the doors open, and we're playing it. After a couple weeks, I'll find them walking around the halls singing it. They don't even know what they're singing. God knows what he's doing. Because it'll start speaking to them. It changes them. It starts to let them understand that there is something different going on here. And so we got to do that. We got to grab a hold of it. And one of the key things that we need to start doing, and I'm going to do a little twist on this, is Psalms 46:10. And I've used this a bunch. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. What I'm going to be concentrating on is the main focus of this verse here. Verse 10 is, be still and know that I am God. I've taught on this, on how important it is for us to sometimes quit being so distracted with the world and in our lives. Sit down, take a moment, be still, let God speak to you. I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. I'm going to go a little deeper in what the Hebrew term of what those two parts means. It's not just to sit down and not move. The Hebrew meaning, if we take it all the way back, it's with the hifil stem of the verb rapha, is where it comes from. You get a little bit of Hebrew lesson here. The meaning is to be weak, to let go, or to release. A better way to translate that is cause yourself to let go, or let yourself become weak. In other words, quit trying to control what's going on in your life. It means sit down, be still, and have an understanding that you do not have the strength that you think you have in yourself. You've been trying to do stuff in your life, your whole life, trying to take care of things. Well, I can do this, I can do that. How's that working for you? It doesn't work well. How can I say that? Because I'm one of those people who is that way. If something would go wrong, I'll take care of it. Oh, I'll do this, or I'll do that. I'll go get another job. I'll work 3 jobs. I'll go do that, I'll do that. Doesn't work out very well. You know what works out well? Is to understand that I am flesh, I am human, and I am just Lloyd, and I need to have an understanding that I am weak within this flesh. And when I do that and I have an understanding I may be weak, but it puts a different emphasis on how strong he truly is. So when I realize and I allow myself to be weak, for all you macho, in-control people, when you allow yourself to be weak, you're acknowledging that you cannot do it all on your own. Therefore, you need the one who can, which is God. That's what is the be still and know that I am God. Allow yourself to be real. Allow yourself to understand truly who you are. Some of us can't do that. Some of us have to have control. If you want to see God really work in your life, allow yourself not to be in control. And allow God to be in control. And when you start doing that, you'll start seeing him work in your life. And he'll get to the point when he starts working more in your life, he won't have to grab that bit and pull your head around and get you in the right direction. He'll just have to nudge you that way. There's times in the Bible where it's talk, people want to hear God's voice. And they're thinking they're going to hear it in a mighty rushing wind. Or in the earthquake and the boulders crashing. Or the fire is going, all that. And where do they hear God? In a sweet, soft, still voice. How do you do that? By being still, letting go of your control, and allow God to speak or act in your life. Because he will not act in your life if you don't let him act in your life. If you want to know his voice, then start listening for it. Stop doing all the talking. Start doing some listening. Stop trying to be the one who's going to control the outcome. We are not in control of the outcomes in our life. Our job is to be obedient in what he says and what he directs. The outcome is up to him. And the outcome is usually way better when we let him do it versus us do it. Because when we try to take control of it, we mess it up. Why do you think he doesn't let us know his plans all the time? Because we're human. We'll mess it up. Quit thinking so highly of yourself. You are not God. You are not everywhere at once. You're not sitting in this room and working at the same time somewhere else. You might be working in your brain, and God's saying, turn that off, be still. Don't worry about what's going to happen a couple hours from now. Worry about what's going on right now. Start to hear what I'm speaking to you. Start to understand the feeling I'm putting in your heart. So you start understanding who God is. We have to hear his voice. Amen? So what does the enemy do to us when we're trying to be still? The world, the enemy, wants to use the stuff that's out in the world. Number one, it's throwing stuff at you and causing you to be fearful, causing you to get distracted. Start getting your ideas and your minds and your thoughts on what's going on out there. And when he does that, it's getting your attention off of God. You have what the world is saying are peaceful protests, and people are getting injured and dying through it. There's lies going on everywhere. The enemy is trying to just distract you with all the stuff, saying you can't really believe what you're seeing or doing this because that's not really truth. We're going to tell you the truth. Well, the truth they're telling you is a lie because you're seeing, and then all the next thing you know, you don't know what you're thinking. And God's saying, quit paying attention to what's going on out here. Settle yourself a little bit and start paying attention to what I'm about. Just because the world is trying to get you to where you don't see him moving, or you don't hear him moving, or you can't feel him moving, doesn't mean he's still not working. That's why that song means so much to me, is because even when we don't see it or feel it or any of those or hear it, he's still working. He's still about it. And the reason we don't see it or hear it or feel it or anything is because we're getting distracted on the things around us. Now, if we can learn to start spending time with him like Jesus did when things got all chaotic and stressful, I shared this last week, even with Jesus and stuff, he went off and spent time with the Father so he can understand the Father's heart and his voice and he was closer to the Father than anybody. But he still had to get there and had to do that. We need to do that.